let's go on here to Nier. What do you have for us?
Wow. I
Eat that
watched
near.
Kai to Otome to Kamikakushi,
Yeah.
also known as Mysterious Disappearances. Um, this is a supernatural mystery series. Main production is Zero G Studios. Previously, they did what was this? Isekai, like Farming Life in Another World.
Uh-huh.
They did. What is this long ass title? I'm giving the disgraced noble lady I rescued a crash course in
Oh,
naughtiness.
yes, the that's
Genaikyo,
a
which was the
dark
black
cover
and
series, dark cover. Yeah.
black and white
Okay.
haired Sukita protag
Yeah, yeah,
series.
yeah, 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 yes.
And they also did the Ice Guy and his cool female colleague, which
I
I
covered
believe
that one.
you covered that one.
Yes. Yes.
Um,
That was a cute one.
among other things.
So a lot of these like kind of like almost show not shoujos, but like very simple rom-com kind of stuff.
Yeah, slice of life, rom-com. They've done
Mhm.
some BL stuff in the past, here and there. They kind of seem to just take whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, this is a supernatural mystery series with a sort of, I guess, slice of life bent to it. It's a bit odd. It's a bit of an
What do you
odd
mean? I
series.
guess you'll cover that in a bit, but
Um,
yeah, okay.
main
Touch.
synopsis: the main character, Ogawa
Mhm.
Sumidako, is a 28-year-old bookstore clerk and an aspiring novelist. Um, in the past, she got sort of quite a bit of praise for being a sort of young, like a teen novelist. There were plenty of like publishing companies that were like chomping at the bit to publish her work because she was a teenager. But now that she's older, a lot of publishing companies are kind of like, yeah, this is kind of like lame and boring. She's sort of struggling with that. And she comes across this book, seemingly cursed book, um, and she reads it out loud, and she turns into a child. Um,
How old?
it doesn't say, but she's pretty young. Um, and she's like, "Pog, now I can write again." Um,
Hell yeah.
and
So she's
her,
old enough to write, huh?
yeah,
Let's compare it to Spire's series. How old is she?
I don't. I'm not sure if that's
I
a
mean,
good
she's
comparison.
probably like 15 or something.
So the
Like,
same
Yeah.
age. Oh, that's not
All right,
that
but what if you read the book that
okay.
makes you young on the beach that makes you old?
damn.
What would happen?
You become exact. You're like constantly
No,
just switching between like.
Um, yeah,
hold on.
her,
Why is it a book that makes you young?
cause
You young
it's
people hate books.
fucking,
It should be
it's a
like a
cursed book, dude.
That's
It's
true.
fucking
Why isn't
old.
it a TikTok that makes you young?
like a tablet.
Yeah, true.
What's a computer? I
But
still
yeah,
hate that
her
so much.
coworker, Adeshino Ren, who's a mysterious young lad with scary eyeballs, is like, wait a minute. I think something's wrong here. I think this is not good. And he confronts her about it, and he's like, yeah, that book is cursed, and you're gonna fucking die if you don't give me that book. And she's like, I don't wanna do that. Um, so they have a little scuffle, and then she's like, wait a minute, I'm gonna die. And so she gives him the book, and then
How
it
does
sort
she
of,
figure out she's gonna die?
well, she starts bleeding from her ears and eyes,
Oh, okay.
for
Yeah, I
starters.
mean, that's
Nice.
probably a
Yeah,
good time to give up the book.
yeah. Um, and so she gives him the book, and he turns it into a mysterious sort of yokai uh, clerk thing. And it's very mysterious stuff. And the yokai person offers him a ticket to Yami Station or something, and he's like, "Nah, I'm good." Um,
Yeah, that station has a weird name. I don't know about that.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that right now." Um, and then it introduces Adeshino Ren's sister, Adeshino Oto, who is a mysterious young girl who seems to be some sort of otherworldly being. And she can see these weird signs of they're like literally traffic signs, and they indicate activity of sort of otherworldly curses or yokai activity, what have you. Um, and the series initially sets that up, and it kind of just rolls with it. Sumireko is main character, and she's like, "Damn, curses and fucked up evil shit. Sign me up." It kind of just washes over her like water on a duck's back, and she's raring to go. And Adeshina Ren is like, "Hey, you need to disguise yourself as my sister's school because there's like weird yokai activity." And she's like, "Yep, I'll do that." Um, and it turns out that the cursed book, let her transform into a young girl at any time. She could just do that now. Doesn't really say why, and there doesn't seem to be any downsides, even though previously it was killing her. But now she can just do that, so that's cool.
Did
Um,
she gain
Purified.
control over the book? Did she eat the book?
no,
How'd she do?
no, the book is gone. The book is just gone.
So
So
she absorbed the power of the book. I got you.
yeah, seems to be the case.
Does she eat the pages?
No, no, they should have done that. That would have been pretty cool.
They should have so does the book have anything else other than the curse or no?
So apparently the book is like a book of like poems written by like cursed beings and yokai. So it's like literally just a book of curses,
Oh hell yeah!
essentially.
So there's no
And she just happened to read the one um that makes her young.
so
Yeah.
she didn't eat that page specifically, and now they don't. It's not like Inuyasha where or the pages have scattered across the world and you got to get them
No,
back.
no, the book is not
13
in the
ghosts of
picture. The book
Scooby-Doo?
is gone.
No, that's lame.
Yeah.
That would have been a better. That sounds like it would have
Um,
been better.
and from then on, it kind of just devolves into mini arcs, into just sort of yokai of the week type stuff, curse of the week, what have you.
Alright,
Um,
but
Jujutsu
with
I'm not
Kaisen.
some,
hearing a lot of disappearing going on here.
yeah. There's not really any mysterious disappearances. I don't really know why this is called mysterious disappearances. A couple characters, like otherworldly characters, call Adeshino Ren, the creepy young boy. They call him a Kamikakushi, which is apparently I guess a term for mysterious disappearances.
The thing is, like this series in Japanese is not like. I mean, clearly has like a different name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, I guess like it is still called like Kaii to Otome to Kamikakushi, like the him being like spirited away. But I don't know. I don't. I think a part of that is more the. It's like how do I say this? It's kind of like the spirited away of the Ghibli studio kind of flavor, where it's more just like, oh yeah, they're like monsters and shit. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Can I
Yeah,
ask
there's not
something
really
real
like
quick?
a overarching storyline of people disappearing. It's just kind of
Yeah.
a term that got translated
Oh.
weirdly.
If I can I ask us something real quickly? Is the when we're talking about like monsters of the week and them going on this like adventure or not adventure, but it's like they're trying to like learn more about this like monster related incident, right? What is the quote unquote usual like danger level of what's going on inside the how do I say this? What's going on inside the episode? Is it like
So it varies.
is it like cute or is it like some undead unluck kind of Zom 100 shit where they're just like fucking like we are in trouble now where we could freaking die or some shit? Well, what's
So
happening?
it kind of varies. There is definitely like these things that they're sort of dealing with are definitely capable of like straight
Killing
up
them?
killing people.
Yeah.
But there's not really any like stakes to this series. This is a
What do you mean
weird
by that?
series. So the first arc, right, is the one
Mhm.
where Sumireko has to go sort of disguise herself as a high schooler, um, and investigate this school that Oto goes to, where there's like no bullying, like at all, and everyone
Right.
is like, "This is fucking weird," right? Like this is strange.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um, and there's a rumor going around about uh like some of the students are not showing up to school anymore because they're scared of this curse where you start drooling and then you pass out, right? And the mystery is like what is causing
So
this?
is it is
Uh
it's the Wumbo curse?
yeah.
You
Um
just get embarrassed.
I mean you literally pass out, like you become a fucking zombie. Like you're just a fucking like drooling corpse on the floor basically. So it is kind of
What's the
like a
problem with
serious
that?
affliction. Gee, I wonder. Um, so the mystery is kind of like what's causing this? Like why is there no bullying? And it's revealed later on that one of the teachers has a cursed artifact, which is basically a like a hair tie, which belongs to a what do they call it? Like an umiboshi or something.
Mhm.
Which is like a yokai that is depicted as like a bull's head on a spider's body kind of thing. Um, and they do some yokai trivia, and basically it's like if this yokai licks your shadow, uh, you start drooling, you pass out, and you die, right?
Okay.
But because it was only like a hair tie or whatever, uh, when the teacher would lick the shadow, they would just pass out, and if somebody brought them off the school grounds, they'd be totally fine, and like they do whatever.
Oh, okay, 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 okay.
But when they confront the teacher, uh, she she's like, "I'm not gonna give you my hair tie because it was like an heirloom from my grandmother, who's like literally my only family I ever had, right?" And so she
Mm.
gets confrontational, and she ends up licking Sumireko directly, which like literally lights her on fire. Um,
What? What?
yeah, and then Ren has to like dispel the curse, and then he gets injured during it, and then he has to use his weird like magical eyes to sort of um dispel this curse or whatever that's taken hold of the teacher, and he gets like somewhat injured from it. But it's not really like an overarching threat, you know what I mean? They don't really treat it as like a big deal. They kind of just like
She makes a complete recovery at the end of
yeah,
the
they
episode.
like
Okay.
Sumirek was fine, and Ren is kind of just like, oh man, I gotta rest after that one. Um,
Okay.
so there's not really like their lives aren't really on the line, even though it's
So the
like
focus is a little bit more again, I would say some it's a little bit more about the actual incident and just like the people involved in going through it. It's more like a journey kind of thing than it is
yeah,
oh,
it's more of like a
I have to muscle through this kind of thing.
yeah, it's more like a supernatural kind of detective thing.
Mhm.
Um, but again, this is kind of a weird show because there's kind of like a lot of balls being juggled here. So there's the mystery
Yeah.
stuff, which you would assume is the main focus, right? Um, but
Yes.
sometimes it takes the back burner because this series has quite a bit of slice of life stuff, right? Especially sort of the
Okay.
middle half where Sumireko sort of has to make friends and play nice with Oto, which is Ren's younger sister, who seems to be some sort of ghost or otherworldly being, um, and this sort of main crux and motivation for Ren is to get his sister back to where she belongs, basically, which is not here. Um,
Mhm.
and in order to do that, he's hunting down these weird, mysterious, like um, cursed objects or whatever, right? The Kaii, as they call them.
Mhm.
And a lot of that is sort of slice of life stuff where they're kind of just hanging out, doing sleepovers. You know, they're making nice with, um, Oto's friends at school, stuff like that. It's quite a bit of slice of life, and there's a decent amount. I don't really want to say etchy, but there's quite a bit of fan service in this series, um,
Mhm.
because Sumireko has big boobs, really big boobs, and
Mhm.
the series likes to remind you of that quite a bit, especially
Oh, okay,
with
I see.
the whole um, power of being able to turn young again. Um, they do a lot of like, oh,
Transformation scenes?
her clothes are ripping, or her clothes don't fit anymore, type of stuff.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah.
they do that quite a bit.
But
It's
near, do her eyebrows get bigger?
no, they stay the same.
Oh, that's a shame. They should have gotten bigger when she got older.
Um, no, you're wrong,
Mhm.
actually. Um, but yeah, so there's quite a bit of fan service.
Okay.
It's not really like an ecchi series, but there is sort of like a like the group of friends. They're high school girls, right? So they talk
Mm.
about like panties and you know, uh, like their breast sizes and stuff like that. It's kind of like dirty humor, but it's not really like yo tits in your face, right? Um,
Mm.
so that could turn some people off, I guess. Um, yeah, this is kind of a weird series because again, it's juggling so many things. So I think if somebody's going in for like one thing in particular, there's probably a relatively high likelihood of being turned off from the other stuff, right?
Mhm.
Because it kind of like there's serious stuff, there's a lot of humor, there's like the etchy stuff, um, there's the mysterious stuff, there's the yokai stuff. Um, there's like just general like ghost stuff. It's kind of I don't really want to say all over the place because it does feel relatively like cohesive. Like it doesn't feel like it's just branching off in all these directions and none of them are tied together. Because I do think the characters do keep it sort of um, well contained in its sort of package. Like none of them act like differently in any given scene than they normally would. They're all fairly consistent, but um, yeah,
Can I
if
ask
you're
if you think where do you think this series is gonna end in like this is series is 12 eps, right? It's not 24.
yeah, it's 12 episodes.
So where is this? Because it's a little bit hard to place a usually how a lot of these sorts of like uh monster of the week or um like journey kind of series end up being is that you have like the two usually, right? You have like two characters. One is like one is the Watson, one is the Holmes kind of aspect, right? One is sort of the powerful one who's kind of going around or hanging around, and the other guy is sort of the chronicler. Maybe he's like the curious one. He's sorts of like that, right? And um, in the sense like you would say probably Sumireko would be a little bit more of the chronicler Watson type.
Yeah.
So in a lot of these series, it kind of requires that for the conclusion to be made in a 12 episode anime, there's something big that happens to one of the two, and then the climax is about like the other guy like saving them, saving the other guy in the duo, or um it kind of coming to a resolution and like them having some sort of cathartic realization about their bad past or whatever it is, right? So, how do you think is there? Do you think there's going to be like a similar conclusion in this anime, or like what's happening? Like, how is going to actually end in the last episodes?
Um, if I had to guess, I think the younger lad Ren is probably going
Hmm.
to uh use his weird eyeball powers. He's going to reveal what exactly he is, because they've made many
Hmm.
allusions to the fact that obviously he's not human.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
he and his sister are obviously not human. Um, probably going to be a big reveal as to what he is. He might, almost die or something, taking down some sort of like more threatening yokai or something. And
Right.
then it's sort of going to say, I imagine it's probably going to be like, because I think this is a web manga original, and I think it's not done yet. So there's that.
Okay.
So it's probably going to go into some sort of like big reveal into okay, now I like actually have to like, really get serious about, getting my sister over to the other side or whatever the fuck they're going for.
Right, right,
Something
right.
like that, and then sort of like the story goes on, kind of ending. Please read the manga, the usual,
Please.
right?
Yeah, information.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's probably going to be relatively standard for something like this, where it's sort of the mini arcs into a sort of semi cliffhanger, right? Um,
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of these kind of go similar directions, right? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay. Um.
Um,
Yeah.
Audio visuals, I think, are pretty good for this, actually. The colors are nice. The character designs are very good, in my opinion. Um, the I would say the because they do the sort of like growing and shrinking bit for Sumireko quite a bit, and it's kind of weird to say that like it's like it's really well animated, but it is, right? Like it's because typically when you have like uh, a character sort of transforming into a bigger or smaller form, they kind of just like uh,
It just kind of goes
They
all
like
white, and then you
yeah,
Mario
kind
they
of
kind of
just
after
just they
fade.
kind of
image.
just shrink or they do some weird like after image kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember the scene in Kizumonogatari
Mm-hmm.
where Kiss shot like eats one of her limbs and then she gets bigger, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but
Oh, okay.
but faster, right? Like it's kind of just like it's
Shoot.
like a
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those, but it's like a consistent like it is like
Oh,
animated.
it
You know
actually
what I mean?
shows it. Yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
silhouette. Yeah.
Which is cool. Um,
Mhm.
I imagine that's probably not something that's easy to animate.
Yeah.
A lot of the character acting is very good. A lot of the expressions are very good. Uh, the eyes in this, I think, are done very well. Pretty much every character has sort of a different looking um, eye shape, which is kind of cool, kind of impressive. It adds
Hmm.
sort of personality to a lot of the characters, even the supporting cast. Um, Overall, the art style is very pleasant to look at. The animation is done quite well. The colors are very nice. Overall, it's a good looking show in my opinion.
Nice.
The soundtrack is pretty standard. Some of it's pretty catchy, but overall it serves its purpose, right?
Hmm.
Nothing super to write home about. The
Uh,
OP is pretty standard. It has quite a bit of fan service in it. Um, some silhouettes of some
mhm.
naked boobies, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The ED, however, is probably one of the most unique EDs I've ever seen in anime ever. The ED is actually animated with sand.
Mhm.
So it's a table of light,
Yeah.
right? And they're like pouring sand onto it and then drawing
It,
pictures in the sand and then taking pictures of it.
it's like one
And
of those. Yeah.
they literally show in the ED like people throwing the sand onto the table and stuff, and
Okay,
then
Okay.
man.
it animates
I'm
it.
making a clay cutting ED for anime
Yeah,
next, actually, I think.
I mean,
Claymation. Full
Beastars
walls
already
and
had
grommet. Let's go.
Beastars already had the stop motion
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
OP, right? But yeah, it's very unique. It looks very cool. The song is pretty catchy.
Okay.
It's very fitting for the sort of mysterious yokai stuff. Um, but yeah, overall, like I said, this is a very strange series. I think if you're going into it for one thing in particular, which may be, you know, maybe you just like the character design of Sumireko, which I
Mhm.
sure do. Um, you might just be along for the ride and you stick with it. But if you're specifically reading like the promotional materials and you're like, oh, this is like a mystery series with yokai and stuff, you might be just disappointed. If you heard from somebody else that this is like an ecchi series, you'll very likely be disappointed because this is not very ecchi focused. Um, Even though there was a decent amount there. Um, yeah, this is very much like a mixed sort of grab bag of like tags almost. and I think if you don't jive with one in particular, you might get turned off. But if this is something that's like, if like all of these sort of click for you, I think you'll
Uh-huh.
really like this.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think it's very niche, the audience for this series, which is I can sort of respect it, right? It's obviously made for a specific kind of person, wanting a specific thing. I think the
What do you mean by
closest,
specific sort of person here? You
I
mean
mean
like
the
giantess?
what? No, what are you talking about?
I looked up the series you're talking about, and I've actually read the previous series of this person, and it's about a super tall girl
All
named
right.
Torako.
Well,
Oh,
Sumireko is not tall. She's big. She's got big boobs. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I
and
think the
then she,
closest comparison I could make to this series would be something that aired last year, which was Dark Gathering, um, which I covered,
Oh, okay, okay.
which
Uh-huh.
is a
Yeah.
bit more, you know, uh, a bit more horror focused, but it is still sort of the yokai of the week, kind of hunting down spirits type of thing. I think if you really like Dark Gathering, you might want to check this out. Like I said, it's a bit more slice of life, um, comedy focused than Dark Gathering was, but
Mm-hmm.
you'll probably like this if you like that. Um, Otherwise, I think you'll. This is one of those series where you kind of just have to watch it and see if it jives with you.
Yeah.
Because I can see a lot of people being sort of turned off from this sort of collective, uh,
The mishmash is sort of
yeah,
yeah.
like collection of
Is the more
sort of
of it. Yeah.
themes. It's definitely not
I
your
think the
typical
main
series.
like people will be kind of thrown off is the mishmash, but also the pacing that comes along with like the
Yeah,
mishmash, right?
yeah, for sure.
They're like, oh, I need this freaking monster of the week, or like I need this journey, and then boom, they have this slice of life, and it's like what am I watching again? You know,
Yeah.
sometimes that can throw people off a little bit.
Yeah, I think
But
if you're really looking for like weird yokai stuff, and then you get like 2 episodes straight of like going to the onsen and eating ramen,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah,
probably gonna be like, this is fucking stupid, right? But
yeah,
if
yeah,
that something
exactly.
like that sounds cool to you, then I definitely recommend checking this out because
Yeah,
I think it does pretty much everything it wants to do pretty decently. I don't think it's like phenomenal or anything, but it's like, yeah, like this is fun. I mean,
it managed to
um,
juggle the ball successfully. Is
yeah.
what you're saying. Yes,
Um,
yes, yes.
some final notes. Voice cast, Sumireko, voiced by Faro's Eye. She does a very good
Hmm.
job. Um, she's sort of really putting her, I guess, flexibility to show here because she has to do sort of this adult voice, right? Like this adult, more mature woman kind of
Oh,
tone into this more high schooler kind of thing, sort of back to back.
right.
It's not like super dramatically different, but it is a nice sort of
It's not like
showing.
you're always transitioning, but it's like
Yeah.
you still have to do both of them. Yeah.
Ren, voiced by Daiki Yamashita,
Yep.
who's
Famous. Yeah.
quite popular.
Hmm.
Um, and then Oto, voiced by Yukimura Eri, who's been on the up and up recently, I'd say.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, one of the other supporting characters, Shizuku, who's also like a fellow ghost hunter who has sort
Uh-huh.
of an axe to grind against yokai, who's voiced by Takashi Rie. She does a good job.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the supporting characters are done by a bit more unknown names, but I think they do a pretty good job,
Hmm.
despite the fact that they don't have a lot of screen time. I think the voice performance overall is very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Helps bring the characters uh, to life, right?
Yep.
They'll mix very well. Um, Overall, I think this is a pretty good show. Again, it's kind of hard to recommend to someone just out of the blue, but if it sounds like it's up your alley, I'd probably recommend checking it out. Otherwise, you could. I don't think you're missing a lot by not watching this. Um,
Hmm.
Maybe you just want to look at the big boob fan art on Twitter. That's totally
You know
okay.
what this kind of reminded me of? You talking about like the Sumireko thing and like how it compares to like the value or how it fits in with the relative value of like wanting to actually watch this series. It kind of reminds me of Fire Force, right? Where it's like, yeah, Fire Force, but also Maki and Tamaki.
Yeah. Yep.
But also movies.
Yeah. I think if fan service and stuff really, really turns you off, this is not the show for you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, overall, I'd probably give this. It's sitting at a 6.8 on Mall,
Mm.
which I think is relatively fair. I'd probably round that down personally to a 6.5.
Okay.
I think what it does decently, but not like well, if that
It's not
makes
like
sense, right?
innovating the genre or anything.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's like it's content.
It's
Essentially.
satisfactory. It's
Yeah, like
satisfactory.
yeah, it's fun to watch, but it's not really.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be super memorable.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.